When we think of conflict, we usually picture soldiers, tanks, maybe fighter jets. But today, some of the most important battles are being fought on a completely invisible front. It's a world where a cyber attack can be just as strategic as a missile strike, and where the front line, well, it's right there in your inbox.
It sounds a little over the top, right? But it's the absolute reality of modern espionage. A single, careless click on the wrong link, the wrong attachment, can swing the door wide open for some of the most sophisticated hackers in the world to walk right into a nation's most sensitive networks. And their method, it starts not with fancy code, but with simple human psychology.
See, the first move isn't some complex virus. It's all about tricking you. Attackers use a technique called spear phishing. They don't just blast out a million random spam emails. No, they do their homework. They study their target, your job, your interests, and they design a message that looks so legitimate, so relevant to your life, that you almost can't help but open it.
And the bait they use is brutally effective. I mean, think about it. If you're a military officer, a document titled Revision of Officers Posting Policy isn't just something you might read, it's something you have to read. Or if there's been a national tragedy, an email promising details, well, that preys on our very human need for information. It's social engineering at its most cynical.
So here's how the trap is sprung. It all starts when you open that file that looks so innocent. It prompts you to click a button, maybe enable content or view document. One click. That's all it takes. Now, to keep you from getting suspicious, a decoy document might pop up, looking perfectly normal. But in the background, silently, malicious code is already running, giving the attacker a foothold. Before you even realize something's wrong, they're in.
So who are the masterminds pulling these strings? We are definitely not talking about some lone hacker in a dark basement. We're talking about a highly organized group that security researchers have a name for, APT 36, also known as Transparent Tribe.
And that first part of their name, APT, tells you a lot. It stands for Advanced Persistent Threat. Let's break that down. Advanced because they use custom-built, sophisticated tools. Persistent because this isn't a quick smash and grab. Their goal is to get in, stay quiet, and remain undetected for months or even years. And threat because, well, they operate with the resources and the strategic goals of a nation-state. So here's the dossier on APT 36. They're believed to be a Pakistan-based group, and they've been at this for over a decade. Their focus has been relentless and specific, targeting the Indian government, its military, and even its top universities. They get in using those spear phishing tricks we just talked about, and once they're in, they deploy their signature weapon, a nasty piece of surveillance malware called the Crimson Rat.
Let's be perfectly clear about what this is. This is state-sponsored espionage. APT 36 is acting as a digital intelligence unit. They're not after your credit card number, they're hunting for state secrets, military plans, and sensitive diplomatic communications. These are the spies of the 21st century.
So what exactly is this Crimson Rat? Well, this analogy just nails it. A rat, or a remote access Trojan, gives an attacker total control over your computer. They can see your screen, log every key you press, secretly turn on your webcam and microphone, and steal any file they want. It is the ultimate digital surveillance tool.
But the story doesn't just stop there. Like any serious player in a conflict, APT 36 hasn't been sitting still. Over the years, their tactics and their targets have evolved. They've become way more ambitious and far more strategic.
If you look at their history, in the early days, they were mostly focused on Windows systems, because, that's what most people used. Then they expanded to mobile, creating malware for Android to spy on military personnel right through their phones. But then, in 2025, they made a massive strategic leap. They started targeting Boss Linux, an operating system developed by India for its own government and military.
Now this was a huge deal. By going after an indigenous homegrown piece of technology, this attack wasn't just about stealing data anymore. It was a direct message. It was a challenge to India's technological independence, an attempt to undermine confidence in their own systems and prove that nothing was off limits.
The Observer Research Foundation called it exactly what it was. This wasn't just a hack. It was an assault on India's technological sovereignty. It showed that this invisible cyber conflict was escalating from just spying into a much broader strategic fight over technology and national pride.
And that brings us to the latest and maybe the most dangerous phase of their evolution. See, APT 36 isn't just stealing information anymore. Now they're actively trying to shape it,
blurring that line between intelligence gathering and all-out information warfare.
Think about it this way. In classic espionage, the goal is to be a ghost. You get in, you steal secrets, and you get out without anyone ever knowing you were there. But in this new model of hybrid warfare, that's only half the game. The other half is to actively manipulate what people think, to create confusion and fear, and to wear down trust in the government. The impact isn't just on data, it's on the morale of an entire nation.
Take the Pahagam incident. After a tragic, real-world attack on security forces, APT-36 immediately weaponized the event. They launched phishing emails using the tragedy as bait to get into government systems. At the exact same time, they were spreading fake casualty lists and disinformation on social media to stoke public anger and chaos. This wasn't just spying, it was a coordinated cyber-psychological attack.
The evolution of a group like APT-36 makes one thing crystal clear. The rules of conflict have fundamentally changed. The digital world isn't some separate thing anymore. It's a permanent, central battlefield in geopolitical competition.
So, after seeing all this, what's the big picture? What are the key lessons we should take away from watching this invisible battle unfold?
Well, first, cyber is now a permanent front. It's not going anywhere, it's a core part of how nations compete. Second, these digital attacks are becoming deeply tied to real-world events, used to pour fuel on the fire and maximize psychological damage. And finally, this really shows that national security is no longer just about having a strong military. A nation's digital resilience, its ability to defend its networks and its information space, is every bit as critical.
And all of this leaves us with one last, pretty unsettling thought. This new kind of hybrid warfare doesn't start with a declaration or a big explosion. It unfolds silently, in the background of our daily lives. In a world of invisible conflict, the first shot fired isn't from a gun. It's just a single, deceptive click.